Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Monday evening, May 27, 2024. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video. I really appreciate it that you guys have been liking all the videos recently, especially over the weekend. And I really appreciate it if you guys like this video, get it up to 100 likes. If you don't know by now, that's how the YouTube algorithm works. We like the video and then YouTube pushes the video out to more weather lovers or more rain lovers just like you guys. And we really want to build this weather community as we head into the month of September and October, the heart of the hurricane season. We really want to keep everyone safe. Also, share this video with your friends, your relatives, your church brethren, and subscribe if you haven't yet done so. Leave a comment down below letting me know what the weather has been like in your area recently. Also, feel free to ask any weather related questions that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Alright, so let us take a look at this post from NHC_TAFB, and that translates the National Hurricane Center's Tropical Analysis and Forecast branch. And they recently made a post highlighting the very robust tropical wave that we've been monitoring. From it was across the main development region, then it affected the Eastern Caribbean, and now it's right there across a portion of the Central Caribbean. They stated a robust tropical wave is moving westward across the Central and Western Caribbean Sea. It will cause gusty winds, strong thunderstorms, and locally heavy downpours for the next few days. Marine interests in the area need to stay safe and plan accordingly. So they're definitely talking about this tropical wave. Let me see if I can make this image bigger so that we can all see it. So we can see the tropical wave right here is represented by the line showing the wave axis right there across portion of the Central Caribbean. And we see the clouds, showers, and thunderstorms associated with this tropical wave. Now to the south of Hispaniola, well, that time when this post was made, to the south of Hispaniola and to the south of Puerto Rico, and they're highlighting the strong thunderstorms associated with it, not to mention the amount of lightning detections, the sparkling yellow or white dots associated with the lightning strikes, if not lightning flashes. And they're stating that it should be pushing westward, and we know Jamaica is next in line, Jamaica right here, and we're definitely going to be affected by this tropical wave as we head into Tuesday and Wednesday. However, we see that the US National Hurricane Center isn't showing anything on their 7-day graphical tropical weather outlook. This is their latest post as of 1 hour ago. This was posted at 7:15 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. That's actually 6:15 p.m. Jamaica time. I was about almost getting up to an hour now. Nothing being shown at all. However, we're still monitoring the system. We are looking at the supercomputer models and the forecast in terms of rainfall across portions of the Caribbean associated with this tropical wave. So we're going to be going out in time showing first the Euro model and the GFS models. We know the Euro is very reliable, the GFS, the American model. So we have to look at both models to see exactly what unfolds. Usually when we have some amount of consensus or agreement with both of them, we know the chances of these things happening are higher. So let's go out in time. We're just going to be going out to the next 168 hours. That's the next 7 days. Just like what the US National Hurricane Center would do to see exactly what's going to be unfolding. We're not going to go any farther than 168 hours because we know how these models are. They start to show some crazy storms happening. So we can see some greens that represent rainfall starting to come into portion of Jamaica. What time is this? This is 18Z on Tuesday. That's actually 1 p.m. on Tuesday. We're starting to see the rainfall associated with the tropical wave come in. And even as we get into Wednesday, look at all of those greens. This is 7 a.m. on Wednesday. We still see some more rainfall affecting portion of the island, even spilling into Thursday as well. And as we go out to the next 168 hours, yes, we see some amount of greens that represent rainfall. We'll see exactly how that unfolds out in time, but we're mainly focused on the next 2 days, Tuesday into Wednesday, and we see the consensus. Now we're taking a look at the GFS model. This is the same time like what we just saw on the Euro, 18Z on Tuesday, which is actually 1 p.m. on Tuesday. And we see the greens associated with the rainfall, all courtesy of the tropical wave, moving out ahead in time to about 12Z on Wednesday, which is actually 7 a.m. We see the greens still, so still we have some more moisture. Even by 1 p.m. on Wednesday, we still see even more rainfall. Then as we go out in time, we start to see even more tremendous rainfall, and the GFS has been consistent with showing all of these darker shades of greens, yellows, oranges, reds. And even as we go out in time, we see most of that starting to string off and head into portions of Hispaniola. Earlier last week, we saw most of this heading into the direction of Jamaica. Now we're starting to see it push more towards the east-northeast to head into Haiti and Dominican Republic. This is why it's important to stay updated with these models, because we always see these things happening, and then we have other weather pages out there, highlighting it and saying, oh, there's a storm coming, or some persons are getting out of hand when it comes to looking at these models more than 168 hours, especially when not consulting with what the U.S. National Hurricane Center is showing. If they're not showing anything, it doesn't make sense to even look at these models at all. But the mere fact that the Twitter page is actually highlighting this tropical wave is something to talk about, especially considering that we know how bad these tropical waves can get. Sometimes bring some strong winds, tearing down trees, flooding, and we saw how it did a number on Trinidad and Tobago last week. Alright, so let us take a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening. We can see the tropical wave that we just mentioned just now, situated across Hispaniola, section of northwestern Venezuela, northeastern Colombia, and all of this is pushing westward, so Jamaica is definitely next in line. So we're not gonna see it on Tuesday morning, it's definitely gonna be coming in by afternoon and then spilling into Wednesday as well. If we take a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before the sun went down, we can see the clouds associated with this tropical wave, not to mention the upper level wind shear that has been sitting across portions of the Caribbean basin for the longest while. Ever since that trough last week, we saw that southwesterly flow pushing all of those high upper level clouds off towards the northeast. And now we have the tropical wave pushing in and interacting with this trough, so it's definitely gonna be bringing more in the way of bad weather to sections of Puerto Rico, which is already happening, section of the Dominican Republic, section of Haiti, and eventually section of Jamaica tomorrow into Wednesday. We can also see the low-level flow of clouds pushing from east to west, all courtesy of the easterly trade wind brought about by the ridges of high pressure that are usually plaguing the Atlantic basin. We'll be talking more about the rest of the Caribbean weather later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today, Monday, May 27. It was stated that we would have received some morning rainfall across sections of some eastern parishes in Jamaica. Then it would affect sections of some central and western parishes during the afternoon. And just for reference, we know eastern parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Surrey. So, Portland, St. Thomas, Kingston, St. Andrew. Central parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Middlesex. So St. Anne, St. Mary, Manchester, Clarendon, St. Catherine. Our western parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Cornwall. So Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, Westmoreland, and St. Elizabeth. And what ended up happening? Although a post wasn't made in the morning, mainly because we didn't even have rainfall in the morning hours, we know these models can be, not all the time they're set in stone, are actually going to be happening. So we did see that we have more in the way of some partly cloudy skies across sections of eastern St. Thomas and Portland than anything else, so not rainfall at all. But the daytime heating definitely contributed to some amount of afternoon thunderstorms across inland areas of some central parishes, as well as sections of some western parishes in Jamaica. As we can see here, a post was made on our Twitter page at Weather Jamaica. And we also make similar posts to our Instagram page at weather.jamaica, on our TikTok page at Weather Jamaica, and on our Facebook page at Weather Jamaica 876. So if you have one of those social media platforms, please ensure that you follow us there, as we make posts throughout the day that we don't make here on our YouTube page. So we see this post being made at 3:15 p.m. highlighting the thunderstorm activity, all courtesy of the daytime heating across sections of some central and western parishes, more so inland areas than anything else. And we saw that we had those sparkling yellow dots that we know are indicative of some amount of lightning flashes, if not lightning strikes. And we even had some brief showers across the corporate area. If you don't know by now, we have a partnership with the See Jamaica YouTube channel that shows live streams of the corporate area, Crossroads, halfway through the Kingston Harbor, and we can actually see some vehicles there with their windshield wipers on. Definitely saw some amount of isolated showers across sections of the Crossroads area. We saw some persons walking with their umbrella. Just some light rainfall, nothing too significant at all. But I'm sure those persons are indeed grateful for the rainfall. Taking a look at the visible satellite images of Jamaica before the sun went down, we can see we indeed had that buildup of clouds across central parishes and western parishes. Then when they became some cumulonimbus thunderclouds, they started to be pushed off towards the northeast, all courtesy of the upper level wind shear from the southwest, all courtesy of that trough that's been plaguing the area. And we can even see that we have some more high level clouds being pushed off towards the northeast from the southwest. Most of these clouds right now don't have much in them, but we can also see earlier today when we had that thunderstorm activity, definitely especially across sections of St. Elizabeth, gotten on that thunderstorm activity. Sections of northwestern Westmoreland and section of western Hanover gotten on some of that as well. And we saw the high cold cloud tops as represented by the blues, the greens, the yellows, oranges, the reds being blown up towards the northeast, bringing more in the way of overcast skies to northern Jamaica than anything else. Taking a look at the temperature right now, we can see that we have 28 degrees Celsius in both Montego Bay and Kingston. And by about 4 a.m. on Tuesday, temperatures should dip down to about 26 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 24 degrees Celsius in Kingston. Taking a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow, this map from the GFS is showing 18Z on Tuesday, which is actually 1 p.m. on Tuesday. And we see Jamaica embedded in some slight yellow colors, at least maybe 1 to 2 degrees Celsius above normal temperatures. We can see some grays starting to come in, maybe associated with the trough. We know the grays represent average temperatures, and we're indeed grateful if that's exactly what unfolds. We know the average temperatures for the month of May across Jamaica are about 89 degrees Fahrenheit. When we take a look at the thermometer, 89 degrees Fahrenheit is about the same as 31 degrees Celsius. So we should be receiving anywhere from 31 to 33 degrees Celsius at most for Jamaica's temperature on Tuesday. Taking a look at the dry air map, we can see that yes, we're starting to get in on more in the way of some moist air affecting the Jamaica area, not only there but across the Caribbean in general. The tropical wave and the trough are definitely moistening up the atmosphere. And we do see that the main development region and that area closer to Africa and Western Europe are getting in on the very dry air, not to mention the southwestern Atlantic off the east coast of the United States, as well as the Gulf of Mexico, definitely being plagued by a lot of dry air. However, what about the Saharan dust? The Saharan dust is definitely here, but with the tropical wave that's going to be in our vicinity tomorrow, we're not even going to be noticing it. Jamaica right here. Keep in mind that this is the forecast for 2 p.m. on Tuesday. Jamaica should be right here in the clear, but we're starting to see all of these browns that represent the Saharan dust starting to trail into portions of the central Caribbean, section of the eastern Caribbean, definitely getting in on some hazy skies, possibly going to be triggering some respiratory illnesses in some people if that's not already happening. We know all of this is pushing from east-west, all courtesy of the easterly trade wind brought about by the ridge of high pressure. If we take a look at the wave forecast for tomorrow, we see that we have a mixture of those lighter shades of blues and those darker shades of blues on both the Euro and the GFS smalls that we know represent anywhere from 0.5 for meter wave heights to 1.5 meter wave heights, as we can see by the key on the bottom right. And that's because the winds are going to be averaging anywhere from 5 to 10 to 15 knots, maybe even gusting to 20 or 25 knots in some spots, where we see those bright greens and yellow colors. And we see that on both the Euro and the GFS malls. And we also see that the general direction on the south coast will be having the winds coming in more from the east southeast, curving around the island from the east on the north coast. And we also see that if we're gonna be receiving some afternoon rainfall, it's definitely gonna be confined to sections of some northern and western parishes in Jamaica. But with the tropical wave coming in, there's definitely gonna be a lot of rainfall coming in from off of the sea to affect sections of some southern and especially eastern parishes in Jamaica. And we see the upper level winds are still coming in from the southwest. So we know what usually happens. The high cold cloud tops, if we get those thunderstorms, are gonna be blowing off towards the northeast, just like what we had today, bringing more and we have those overcast skies to sections of some northern parishes in Jamaica. So we're gonna be seeing exactly what unfolds. We have the ingredients, we have everything set up. And let's take a look at the rainfall maps now. This map from the Euro and this map from the GFS are both showing 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 9 a.m. Jamaica time. And what do we see that both maps are showing? We see the blues that represent rainfall across sections of some eastern parishes in Jamaica. We have a higher signal than what we saw yesterday, so those persons in St. Thomas or Portland who expected rainfall today and didn't get it, just know that the signal is very high for tomorrow's forecast for eastern parishes. Definitely seeing that rainfall on both the Euro and the GFS models. As a matter of fact, look at the Euro model showing all of those darker shades of blues and even greens and yellows in there, even some oranges represent some maybe heavy rainfall. There's definitely gonna be some tremendous rainfall tomorrow in some areas, not all areas, so don't get mad, especially you guys in Portmore. We know how salt that area is, not to mention some areas in Kingston. We'll see exactly what unfolds. Hopefully you guys get the rainfall that you need. Moving ahead to about 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 1 p.m. Jamaica time. And what do we see? We start to see that rainfall spreading to sections of some central and western parishes in Jamaica. So 1 p.m. definitely still having that rainfall affecting section of eastern Jamaica, splitting into section of central and western Jamaica than anything else. Then by 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, is actually 4 p.m. Jamaica time, we still see much of the same, but in some different ways. Look at the Euro showing more of those rain bands across eastern parishes, till have the blues that represent rainfall across sections of the central and western portion of the island. GFS have more of the rain bands off towards the central and western portion of the island, with that strong rain band off towards the southeast of the island. Either way, both maps are showing rainfall. There's gonna be rainfall tomorrow. Definitely somewhere across the island. If you don't get rainfall, something is wrong. And both accumulated precipitation forecast maps are in consensus with this. We see that this map from the Euro and this map from the GFS, keep in mind that both of them are showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until 10 p.m. on Tuesday. Not saying that's going to be raining from now up on, all the way up until then, but these are the areas that are going to be picking up more in the way of rainfall, and we see that to be affecting eastern, central, and western parishes in Jamaica. The Euro model showing up to 0.95 for an inch of rainfall to be affecting sections of the east. GFS showing up to 0.88 of an inch of rainfall, maybe across section of the central to the western portion of the island. We'll see exactly what unfolds. Either way, both maps are showing rainfall in store for the island, and we're indeed grateful for that. We're in the month of May. We usually receive 213 millimeters of rainfall during this month. That's almost 9 inches of rainfall. Considering the dry spell that some of us have been experiencing, especially in mid-May, the rainfall is much welcome. Hopefully, the rainfall that we're about to receive actually does something for the drought that some areas are currently experiencing. Alright, so that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let us focus your attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So we can see the clouds associated with the tropical wave interacting with that trough. Still bring some thunderstorm activities to sections of Puerto Rico, the US and British Virgin Islands, section of the Dominican Republic, Haiti getting in on the action as well, section of Costa Rica, Panama as usual, Colombia, Venezuela, Guyana, Suriname, French Guiana getting in on some amount of rainfall, but they are used to that. If we take a look at the Doppler radar images of the northeastern Caribbean, the Doppler radar images show the actual rainfall that's affecting an area as opposed to satellite images. Satellite images can show cloud cover and not necessarily rainfall. And if we run these images from about 1:20 p.m. today, we saw that we did indeed have some thunderstorm activity plaguing sections of northwestern Puerto Rico, some rain bands coming in from the east across sections of eastern Puerto Rico, sections of the Dominican Republic definitely getting nailed, especially the eastern portion there. We also see that rainfall coming to sections of the British Virgin Islands than the US Virgin Islands right there. And even the latest Doppler radar images still showing that we still have some amount of rainfall affecting sections of the eastern portion of the Dominican Republic as well. If we take a look at the Barbados radar, we don't see much happening across Barbados right now when we zoom in. But we do see some rainfall to the north of there, pushing from east to west to possibly affect sections of Martinique as well as sections of Dominica maybe later on tonight. If we look southward, we can even see some rain bands getting ready to affect sections of Grenada as well, pushing in from the east. We also see some rainfall getting ready to affect sections of Tobago, some of it dying down, but we'll see exactly what unfolds if some of that makes it into Tobago. Nothing happening across Trinidad right now at all. Taking a look at the wider view of Doppler radar images, we can see that rainfall that we just mentioned across the northern Caribbean, and we can also see that rainfall that we saw in the satellite images across sections of Colombia, Suriname, and French Guiana. If we take a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow, we know the yellows, oranges, reds represent above normal temperatures, and this map from the GFS is showing 1 p.m. on Tuesday. And we see the above normal temperatures, even though we have a mixture of those grays that represent average temperatures, but above normal temperatures are plaguing the entire basin in general. Hopefully, especially if you live in Central America and we see those darker reds, you're taking the necessary precautions, staying hydrated, staying out of the sun during peak hours so that you're not that drastically affected. If we take a look at the Saharan dust forecast for 2 p.m. on Tuesday, we do see the browns that represent the Saharan dust stretching all the way from Africa across the Mediterranean region into the Caribbean, more so the Eastern Caribbean than anything else. We know these browns, the Saharan dust in general, causes hazy skies, not to mention triggers some amount of respiratory illnesses in some people. So make sure that you have your meds handy. Taking a look at the wave forecast for tomorrow, we see those blues that should be plaguing the entire Caribbean basin, anywhere from these lighter shades of blues to the darker shades of blues that we can see by the key on the bottom right, that we know represents anywhere from 0.5 meter wave heights to at least 1.5 meter wave heights. And that's because the winds are going to be coming in from the east for the most part, averaging anywhere from 5 to 10 to even 15 knots, gusting to 20 knots in some spots, maybe even gusting to 25 knots. And let's get into the meat of the matter. Where are we going to be receiving that rainfall within the next 24 hours? Let's have a look at what both the Euro and the GFS models are showing. Alright, so let's go. We know that when both maps are showing something similar, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. So let's go into this. We see that there's definitely going to be some amount of rainfall associated with the tropical wave for sections of the southeastern portions of Cuba, Jamaica, Haiti, the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, the US and British Virgin Islands. If they're not already getting that rainfall, it's definitely coming within the next 24 hours. Keep in mind that both of these maps are showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until 10 p.m. on Tuesday. We see that rainfall across sections of the Leeward and Northern Windward Islands than anything else. Some lighter shades of greens across sections of Trinidad and Tobago. And we see that heavy rainfall that we know represents up to 1 inch of rainfall, maybe even more. Not necessarily heavy rainfall, but could be more rainfall totals, maybe some moderate rainfall and then some more moderate rainfall on top of that. So not necessarily heavy at that time, but it could be, and it could trigger some amount of isolated flash flooding in some spots. We see some of that rainfall in sections of French Guiana, Suriname, Guyana, Venezuela, Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, section of coastal areas of Nicaragua, section of Honduras, southern Guatemala, El Salvador. And the thing is, if we look at both maps, if we go back and forth right now, we're gonna be seeing that both of them are showing something similar in terms of where the rainfall is expected. I will know that when both of them are in agreement like this, the chances of it happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.